Welcome back. My name is Josh. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and I've recently gone through a divorce. Today's video is a little bit more practical. Through the divorce process, more often than not, you're going to have an attorney that's going to represent your best interests in the process. I had an attorney, and I really liked the attorney that I selected. So I thought I'd give some tips on if you're in that process of selecting an attorney, what are some of the things that helped me out in that process? So the first thing you need to do is step back and take a really honest assessment of what kind of divorce this is going to be. Is it going to be contentious? Is it going to be overall peaceful with maybe a few points of disagreement? Is it going to be very amicable? Odds are it's probably not going to be amicable, but maybe it is. You first need to know what kind of divorce this is going to be. And the best way to gauge that is to think back on times when both you and your former spouse have dealt with highly emotional situations and how that worked out for you. Most likely they'll fall back on old behaviors, and so will you. So you need to take an honest assessment of that. The second tip that I would recommend is figuring out the key issues to you. What is most important to you? Is it a custody battle that's going to be coming, you think? Is it finances? Is it future finances? Is it division of assets? Really think through what those key issues are for you. I would highly suggest writing those down and being aware of those. The next tip I would give is to actually go, in the United States, there's a website called avvo.com, Alpha Victor Victor Oscar.com. It's a website where attorneys are rated and reviewed by people who've used them. You can use it, you type in what town you live in, what kind of attorney you're looking for, and you'll find all sorts of attorneys in your area that you can at least read reviews on, and they rate them, and there's a whole process. That website was very helpful for me because I've never been through a divorce, and I don't know anyone in my exact area that's been through a divorce, so it was very helpful for me to use that website. Once I had that, I did ask a couple friends in my area, in the larger vicinity of where I live, that had been through a divorce, if they had heard anything in their divorce process. They had not, but they gave me some good tips to look for. So that was I'm sharing some of those with you now, but those tips were very helpful for me. So the next thing I did is I started looking at, based on that website, I started looking at different attorneys' websites and reviewing them, trying to figure out what kind of attorney they are. You can get a feel for some attorneys based on their website. Some of them are just, based on their website, are just fighters. Like, if you think you're going through a nasty divorce, then this is the person you want on your side. But maybe that's too aggressive for what you think you need. But on the other hand, maybe it's someone that's too passive for what you need. So you need to that's why you need to have an idea of what kind of divorce this is going to be, and then looking at these attorneys. The next thing that I did that was very helpful was to go out and interview attorneys. I treated it like a job interview, but they were interviewing to work for me. Now, many attorneys do this. They understand it's part of the process. Some will do it for free. Many won't. They'll give you like a discounted rate for an hour. It was worth paying to talk to the attorneys. I interviewed several of them. It cost me money, but it was an educational process. One of the things that I did when I walked in there was I had questions for them. Here's my situation. How would you handle this? What does the law say about this? I'm not really clear. And I would walk them through many of my questions. Sometimes I'd even ask them about other attorneys that I'm interviewing. They understand that that's part of the process. So I was very open with them that I'm interviewing them and others. And I'd ask, have you worked with this attorney or that attorney before? What have you heard about them? most of the attorneys I interviewed were very honest. Said, "Oh yeah, I've worked with her or I've worked with him, and they're a great attorney." That's great. So that's the next thing. Interview the attorneys. Some of the questions that are important to ask are the basics. What's your hourly rate? What's your retainer fee? What does an average divorce cost for you? They're going to kind of dance around that one because what's an average divorce actually? But try to just pin them down on that. Explain to them what you think is going to happen in this divorce. Are there going to be issues, and what issues are there that you're going to fight over or disagree over? Those really interview them because they're going to be working for you. They are going to be your advocate. The next piece of advice that I would give is select an attorney that is in your specific area. And what I mean by that is, so for instance, if you live in a specific county, then you want an attorney that practices law in that county, that is very familiar with the judges, the other attorneys in that local area, and even the ordinances, because sometimes the law could be a little bit different and from county to county within the United States. So you want someone that knows the law in and out in that county, that knows the judges, how the judges rule. All these things become very important in the process of selecting or in the process of divorce. And the final one piece of advice that I would give you: select a family law attorney. This is probably the most important of them all. Don't select a jack of all trades. Don't select someone who does business law, but for you, he'll help you do a divorce, or she'll help you do a divorce. No. You want someone who does divorce law, or family law. It's actually called family law, and that does divorces. Not all family law attorneys do divorces, but you want one that does family law and that does divorces. You want one that if you have a lot of children and it's going to be a custody battle, that is very familiar with how those go and how the judges rule in that area. If you feel that, maybe the stack, well, let me just say this. I knew that my ex and I were going to agree on many issues, but there was going to be a few issues that were going to be highly contentious. So I wanted an attorney that for me would be very friendly. I told my attorneys straight up, each and every one of them, that I did not want someone who was going to be throwing gasoline onto a fire. For me, that was important. I don't want someone adding contention to a situation. I would do that if I wanted to, but I wasn't going to let them. And I didn't want to do it myself either, so I wanted this to be as peaceful a process as possible. But if needed, I wanted someone that could be a bulldog for me, that could really be an advocate if I needed it, someone that well understood what the precedent is in the area to go by, because they will give you good advice. Now, ultimately, remember, your attorney works for you. So they don't make decisions on your behalf. A good attorney will ask you, they will advise you, they will tell you what is normal, what they think is best given a certain situation. They may even tell you, hey, the judges here tend to rule this way, so if you don't agree to this, then if it goes to a judge, this is probably what's going to happen. But ultimately, the decisions that are made in the divorce, all the agreements that are made in the divorce will be made by you. So you're going to and not only that, you're going to have to live with them potentially for the rest of your life. When the divorce is over, they walk away and they just brush their hands off of it. But they are kind of a necessary evil in the process. So those are the tips that I would give for how to find a good attorney, because those tips worked well for me to find an attorney that I really liked and that did an excellent job. So again, thank you for tuning into my channel. My name's Josh. Although I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, this channel is not affiliated with the church nor endorsed by it. And I guess I should add here that I'm not an attorney. I don't study the law. I've just been through a divorce where I had to hire an attorney and use one. And I really liked my attorney. So these are the tips that I used.